Good evening, everyone. Before we start this evening, and I'll turn it over to Father Mark for prayer and some introductory remarks, just a couple of things real quick. First of all, my name is Mark Register. It's my pleasure to be the administrator here at the school. Okay. Being heard is usually not one of my problems. I want to first start by giving everybody a quick update on our Mr. Boehner. As most of you know, Richard had a heart. Mr. Boehner is our high school math teacher. He's been here for many, many years. He's in the Missouri State Soccer Hall of Fame. He's in the Sacred Heart School Hall of Fame. He's really a beloved member of our school family. Well, Friday, while riding his bike, Mr. Boehner had a heart episode. And he has spent the weekend at University Hospitals in Columbia. And it has been a long weekend for Mr. and Mrs. Boehner and their family. But as of this afternoon, he is much more responsive, and they did take the ventilator out. So all things are very hopeful in regard to Mr. Boehner's situation. We're the presentation today, Mrs. Kale is going to be right back here at this corner table, and we're going to send some messages and stuff over to him tomorrow. So anybody who wants to send Mr. Boehner a message, please stop by and jot something down, and we'll get it all taken over there to him tomorrow. So thank you. Also, any of the Spanish-speaking folks in the audience who have the headphones, we want to make sure those are working before we get going. So Brenda, would you do a little check? Okay. All right, I think with that being said, we've got a little something we'd like you to see as we begin our presentation this evening.
Sacred Heart is a place to not only, practice your faith and share your beliefs, but to open up as a person and to just really be a leader.
Sacred Heart is such a great Catholic education, and for me, I value Catholic education greatly in my life.
Sacred Heart is a family.
Sacred Heart is such a unique environment because I think it's smaller, so it allows teachers and coaches to focus individually on the student.
And I made the decision to branch out from the public school system to come to Sacred Heart to better myself in the Catholic education.
Well, our families were searching for a great education, and with the whole religion aspect as well, that definitely influenced us.
I've been Christian my whole life, and like I said, I'm blessed to go here, and I really hope to go to a Christian college as well.
A private school, and it's a bit smaller, you get to know everyone. You tend to get to know everyone a lot better than just a public school.
If anything, I feel like I've grown a lot more quickly than I would if I was at a larger school or a public school, because I do get that attention.
Faith is supposed to be in every aspect of your life. So if you're trying to live what Sacred Heart has done, to make a perfect and good Catholic education, you have to show faith in every class.
They're able to give you that answer on a more deep level and a more religious level, which a lot of other schools can't do, and it really allows me to enjoy the education a lot more, and it really does carry through in just the overall aspect of the school, the way that everybody carries themselves.
Well, I've been able to personally grow and just build so much character in my faith, and conversing with the teachers who know you on a first name basis in your personal life, and just be able to go back home and feel that you've completed a day on a personal level more than just an educational level.
You get to learn more about God and stuff that you really don't know about Him. We're learning to be kind to others and help others.
Throughout the school year, I find myself getting closer to God, being more focused on making sure I pray, growing in my faith in ways like that. And I like going to Mass every week. It's nice to take a break from life to do something like that and, refresh myself.
My parents tell me to be smart. I like doing math and science. When I grow up, I want to be a policeman.
It's probably the best education I've ever received, to be honest. Each teacher is so focused and really cares about each individual student, and it really impacts the way the education comes out.
So you're building a legacy, and when you choose to send your kid to Sacred Heart, you're building their legacy and hopefully their children's legacy as well.
Well, I got to go here to Sacred Heart, and I feel very blessed. The Sacred Heart really prepares you for college, and they really help you. It's important to me that I get those opportunities because my family is really proud of me. My family works hard to allow me to go to this school, so if I do well, I feel like I'm paying them back.
That could just be the overall, I guess, aura that Sacred Heart has behind it, the generations following the next generation that follows the next generation that goes here. I know if I stay in Sedalia, I'm going to have my kids go here. It is by far the best education I have ever received, and I would really recommend that somebody else do the same.
If you send your child to Sacred Heart, you know they're going to go great places someday. There's no question of that.
I love Sacred Heart.
I love Sacred Heart.
We are truly blessed to work with wonderful, wonderful young people. So that's just a taste of some of the kids we work with and how they feel about our school. Again, thank you for being here. As you came in tonight, you all should have received a promotional piece, which is part of what our strategic growth plan team has been working on. You also received an index card and something to write with. Those are for you to jot down questions as the evening goes along. Any questions that you might have, or individual sessions after our presentation here, or for individual sessions when we meet later on, and we'll explain more to you about all of that. So at this time, it's my pleasure to introduce to you our pastor, Father Mark Miller. Father.
Good evening, and again, welcome to all of you. We are pleased to have you with us as members of our Sacred Heart School family. Much time and effort has been expended over the last year looking at how we can become more effective and efficient in fulfilling our mission in offering and remaining faithful in offering a Catholic education to the present and future generations. Over 200 people were involved in the lengthy, prayerful, and thoughtful process that produced the top 10 challenges to our operational vitality and our sources of economic and personnel assistance to address them. I would now ask all of you who have been involved in any of our planning sessions throughout this year to please stand. So if you have questions, you can also approach any of these people as to what happened. Thank you all. From the very beginning, we knew it was not going to be easy, but we knew it was necessary for our future. We also knew that there would need to be changes made along the way, which would be difficult, but which would ensure our ability to sustainably carry out our Christian mission. We have been here for 135 years, and we are hoping to remain here for another 135. From the beginning of this process, it was important that we understood our journey to be faith-based and our expression of what we believe about being disciples of Jesus Christ. We were not only looking for a way to sustain an educational institution, but finding a way of sustaining a religious institution by passing on our faith and teaching the kind of ethical living that would prove to be transformative for our students, faculty, and staff. Thus, it was important to have as our guiding principle one that was consistent with scriptures and our tradition. It had to follow what we heard recently from the description that was given of the first community of apostles in the Acts of the Apostles, how they responded to the common good and recognized that they were responsible to respond to the needs of others. This led to our vision statement: extraordinary Catholic education through Christ for all. Let us pray. The first letter of Peter says this: each one of you has received a special grace like good stewards responsible for all these different graces of God. Put yourselves at the service of others. If you are a speaker, speak in words which seem to come from God. If you are a helper, help as though every action was done as God's orders, so that in everything God may receive the glory through Jesus Christ, since to him alone belong all glory and power forever and ever. Lord, help us understand that we are to give in the measure in which we have received. If we have received much, it has been given to us in order that we may share much. But we are all called to share what we have for the common good. As we reflect upon the gift of Catholic education, we ask for your grace to be fully understand the value of this gift and recognize that what we have received from our ancestors, we are to make available for the next generations. While we are building for today, we must remember that the foundation must be strong enough to withstand the struggles of tomorrow. Keep us faithful to our traditions and give us the wisdom to proceed in such a way that it will be evident that what we are building is both sustainable and accessible for all. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. As many of you know, we have been struggling for many years to make sure that we would be able to keep the doors of our school open for the next generations. We have come to the decision that not everyone needs a subsidy to send their child to Sacred Heart School. We have been operating for many years where the amount of tuition did not pay for the cost of education. We have discovered that not everyone needs food stamps to feed their family, nor does every family need a subsidy to educate their child. Thus, we are asking those who do not need a subsidy to pay for the full cost of education, just as many of us do not need food stamps to feed our children. More and a greater explanation about this will be said later in our program. But this evening you will be hearing presentations from people representing 4 of our strategic growth plan implementation teams. Each team focuses on some of the top 10 operational vitality challenges in the areas of community building, communications effectiveness, people engagement, and our leadership and governance models. Let me make clear that this evening is an update and not an end to the strategic growth process. We will continue to work year after year to improve upon the previous. Success requires your participation, prayer, and patience. You are again invited and encouraged to get involved at whatever level you may feel called. With this plan in place, I'm excited and full of faith for the extraordinary future of our school and community to deliver upon the vision, extraordinary Catholic education through Christ for all. And now I introduce to you Mr. David Dick, a co-chair of our team focusing on community building among our school, parishes, and beyond. David is a lifelong parishioner and a 1980 alum of Sacred Heart School. David.
He made that sound like a long time ago. 38 years almost is a long time ago. Okay, yeah. F says to remind you that the index cards are for questions. I think Mark said that early on, but just to remind you.
That never listens to me, David.
That's okay. That's okay. As Father said, there's 4 teams. We are Team 2. We are about community. The thing to think about community is a little history about Sacred Heart. Obviously, the parish was founded in 1882. They built the church, had the first Mass on the Sunday, and started school the next day. So the church and the school have been symbiotic since day one. The good thing about working in the community with the 3 parishes, St. John's and St. Pat's, all 3 parishes have had schools at some point in their existence, so it's not new to them, the whole school experience. As we look at the school experience within the parishes, we also have to deal with those cultural differences that come with us. Well, guess what? About the same now as it was in 1870 and 1880. We've got different influxes. So we were dealing with Irish and Germans. Now we're dealing with the Irish and the Germans and a few more. So with that cultural differences, as the Spanish influence comes in and the Eastern Europeans, you have to deal with that. And there's a place for that in this, and it's not, again, it's not new to us. We're back at that same point in history where we were at the very beginning. So we look at how the three parishes work together. We look together at how the school interacts with the parishes so that they know. Not so many kids from St. John's come in. There's more kids now from St. Pat's. So you have to begin to develop an information system. So we look at developing a calendar that is integral to all three parishes in the school. It'll also have the stuff for the Knights of Columbus. So if you want to pick out the 28th day of May and want to know what's going on, you'll find out that there could be 5 or 6 things going on, whether it's at St. John's, St. Pat's, there's a ball game, there's something else going on. They will have already graduated by then, so they'll be gone. So different things like that, so that you can pick that up. We're going to try to get that to where it's an app on your phone, so that you can look and you'll know. You'll know what's going on, so if you're thinking about doing something, something's coming up, you'll know what's going on. The other part of what we do is how do we get the school to interact with the community? Again, the community is pretty well aware what Sacred Heart is, especially what Sacred Heart High School is, the different things, the excellence in education that is there, as far as athletics, the excellence that is there. So we have a good reputation in the community. So again, this goes back to getting the community integrated back into the school. So you look at mentor programs, and you look at different volunteer programs. And so we have to be able to get the information out so we get folks trained, because there's a training regimen that the diocese provides, which makes us make sure we know who's in the school and who's with the kids. And so we make those dates available too. It goes back to the calendar thing. So it's all about getting the word out about the school into the community, about the school out into what is home base, which is the three parishes, so that we all begin to work together in the same path. All this is tied to getting the kids and everybody more integrated into the church ministries, whether that's reading or serving or whatever it is. And so you begin to make that complete circle. It becomes a complete circle at that point. So that's kind of what we've been doing. We've been moving along through that. So our task isn't done. Our task will probably take a little while as we work through all this. Next up is Caitlin Lodick, Team 3. We've kind of had a little thing going on all through this. Either she's first or I'm first. I'm first this time. So I get to introduce her. Caitlin has 3 kids, married to Bob back there. And they are 2nd grade, 1st grade, and a 2-year-old, so that's almost preschool, but not quite. So Caitlin will tell you where the communications team is at. Thanks.
So I am Caitlin Vladek. I am a Sacred Heart parishioner. I am a Sacred Heart alum, and I am a parent. I've got 2 kids graduating in the class of 2028 and 2029, and then my little one will be class of 2033. But today I am representing our communications team. Now our team was tasked with addressing 2 of our top 10 operational vitality challenges. So the first was, how can Sacred Heart School project and communicate a positive and favorable image, both internally and externally? And our second challenge was, how can we best communicate progress throughout this planning process? So what I want to do first is update you a bit on our progress addressing our positive and favorable image. So we are currently developing a marketing plan. That's going to help us have a clear direction for our marketing efforts, both inside and outside of our school family. We also are in the final stages of creating a branding guide. Now, we realize that Sacred Heart is a 135-year-old brand. And we want to make sure that all of our messages have a real consistent feel and look to them, so we can always put our best foot forward. So by the end of this school year, we are going to have a branding guide available that's going to set forth guidelines to be used anytime you're creating materials or items for Sacred Heart School. That's going to include things like graphics and logos, colors, fonts, and then general guidelines that we need to follow. Now, in regards to our communication during the strategic growth process, last week you should have all received a brochure in the mail with an introduction to our strategic growth plan. This guy. We did include our top 10 challenges to our long-term operational vitality, as well as a breakdown of the 4 teams addressing each of our challenges. We did send the brochure in both English and Spanish, but we do have extra ones here tonight if you need one. Our plan is to send additional updates in that same way periodically as we go through this process. Right now, we think that's going to occur once each quarter, but that might change just depending on the type and amount of information that needs to be communicated to everyone. But we want to make sure that everybody stays up to date on our progress. So by the end of this week, a strategic growth page will be live on the Go Gremlins website. So you can go there, you'll get all the information that's on that brochure and that you received, and then we will make sure to keep that updated more often. We'll do our best to keep you updated throughout this exciting progress, and we're looking forward to having our marketing and communications efforts come to fruition. Now, I do want to reiterate what Father said a few moments ago, but if anyone is interested in joining us during this exciting strategic growth process, please reach out. We would appreciate any contributions that anybody has, and we would love to have you as part of our team. So now I'm going to turn it over to Liz Van Leer. Liz is a parishioner, a parent, and she is our Foundation Development Director, and she's going to help us out with our people engagement team.
Thanks, Caitlin. Hey, good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight. I am Liz Van Leer, and I have the pleasure of representing Team 4 to share with you the updates that we have been working on that fall within our team scope, which is people engagement. Before I start, though, I just want to thank the members of my team as well as everybody who has been working so faithfully and so diligently on this strategic growth plan. Our consultant, Frank Donaldson, is with the Institute of School and Parish Development, and he has told us numerous times that this plan that we've been working on for over 18 months will work. Our plan will work. It is going to take a willing community, a community who believes in our school, and it's going to take a willing team. And I can probably speak for several people, many people, we all have really busy lives. We all have a schedule that's already jam-packed, so to put in time for a strategic growth plan, it felt daunting, it was overwhelming at times. I know I had moments of anxiety, but when I look around at this team of smart people, of talented people, of people who really love Sacred Heart and believe that this is the direction we need to go, it really put me at ease, and it took away the anxiety, and it really got me excited and really hopeful for this plan and where this is going to take our school for the future. It got me excited for my kids and even my little one who will be graduating in 2033. Yikes. All right, so with people engagement, we were tasked with 3 challenges, and those are attracting and retaining quality teachers, attracting and retaining students, and increasing family involvement. So our team really hit the ground running in December, which is really that time of really pushing student enrollment. So that is where our key priority has been, is really trying to hit the ground running with student enrollment. So that is our key priority right now. So we've been spending the past few months spreading awareness and deepening relationships with key schools. We've been going to schools. We've been having people come to our school. We've been meeting with businesses, organizations, community influencers, sharing the story of Sacred Heart, telling them what's going on. Outreach has included one-on-one meetings, school visits, presentations, and of course distribution of our flyer, The 10 Great Things About Sacred Heart, which you also received tonight. And this is just a list of the groups that we've been targeting. So another priority for our group that we've been working on is our international student program. And here's just a few of our familiar faces who are attendees or alum of Sacred Heart that have been part of our international program. Sacred Heart is frequently asked to host international students. And so to satisfy this demand, our team has been working hard to give our current international student program a more robust, a more refined structure to better ensure enriching and positive experiences for our international students and their families, and of course the host families. So a few of the projects that we're working on are listed here. Now, we are actively seeking host families. So it's no obligation, but if you've ever thought about hosting an international student, we are going to be having a host family info social on May 6th. And so if you're interested in joining or you want to learn more about our international program, we'll have an informational table set up over here with Mrs. Plummer and Mrs. McAllister, and they can share with you more about that international program. And also, our team has been working on increasing family involvement and participation. We're in the early stages of this effort, but I'm going to share with you a few activities that are going on in the next couple of months, so please save the date. One of them is going to be our STEM Family Night, Wednesday, May 3rd at 5:30. More information will be coming out to you via option C, but it'll be really exciting. This is something really cool that it'll be great to come and be with your family and enjoy this night. Another thing that we're going to do is a mother-son kickball tournament. Come by and see Mrs. Plummer and Mrs. McAllister. There's going to be flyers as well for a kickball party, just to have some fun, get together. And then last but not least, this hasn't been necessarily part of our group, but since I'm telling you about events, why not tell you this one too? I'm really, really excited about this. For the past couple of years, Sacred Heart has been able to offer a vacation Bible school. We haven't had one for a couple of years. But thanks to our Catholic community, I'm really excited that we're going to be bringing a program in that we haven't had before called Totus Tuus. This is a Catholic-based enrichment program that is put on by Catholic college students. It's great. And I was part of it like 20-some years ago when I was in high school. That doesn't seem that long ago, but I really enjoyed it. And my parents made me go, otherwise I wouldn't have, and I really liked it. So I'm excited to see it back. So if you guys want to sign up, there's only 30 spots. There'll be a morning program for your elementary kids and an evening program for junior high and high school. So sign up because only 30 spots are available for elementary and 30 spots for high school. And the Eufinger family will be at this table over here so that you can sign up tonight. All right, what else? So all this has been presented as part of our ongoing process. All of us can be ambassadors. All of us can be champions and advocates for Sacred Heart School. You do not have to be on a committee to do so, but if you would like to play an active role and be on one of our committees, we would love to have you. Please come see me or see anybody sitting at these chairs tonight because this is an ongoing effort and it needs all of us. Thank you all so much, and now I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Register.
All right, thank you again, everyone, for being here. Before we start tonight, I'm talking about Team 1, the leadership and governance team of the Strategic Growth Plan. I'd like to first tell you a little bit about myself. My dad moved our family to Sedalia in the summer of 1972. My dad was in the beer business, and we came here as competitors to Paul and Joe Bykirk's dad. Well, that part didn't work out too good. But the whole Sacred Heart and the rest of the Sedalia part worked out fine. So I graduated from Sacred Heart in 1975. I came here as a sophomore. Then I left and went to college at UCM and had a couple of teaching jobs. I came here as a teacher in the fall of 1985. I taught here for 7 years as a religion teacher, PE teacher, and a coach, and very much enjoyed it. At that time, I thought I was being called into administration. So I took a job at St. Peter and Paul School in Boonville as their principal. St. Peter and Paul School is a terrific little school, and Boonville's a great town, but it wasn't home, and it wasn't Sedalia. So the very next year, the Sacred Heart job opened up. I applied for it and was fortunate to get it. That was in the fall of 1993. I spent 21 years, 21 really happy years here as our administrator, and then thought maybe it was time to retire. So I did. And our school, I thought, was very fortunate to get Dr. Manning and Mrs. Wilson to come and take over, and I thought they did a great job for us. Well, then last year, when it was time for them to move on, For whatever reason, I was called back here. And I was called back here in June, and I honestly believe the Strategic Growth Plans why I was called back. I pretty much believe with all my heart that this is probably the reason God called me back. You know, this started in January of 2017. I didn't come on board till August of 17. So I was really behind the 8 ball. I'm going to admit to you, I was a little skeptical when we first started. I was a little nervous. With each passing day that I learn more and more about this, I get more and more excited about the future of our school. As I just told you, we have very deep, deep ties with Sacred Heart. Well, I am going to have a granddaughter in July, late July, early August. It is vitally important to me now that, you know, these guys are talking about their kids graduating in 2033. I'm figuring I've got it added up to about 2036 is when our little girl will be here. It is vitally important to me that Sacred Heart be here and Sacred Heart be healthy when that little girl's ready to go to school, when that little girl's ready to go to high school. And boy, that's what this is all about. So let me just dig right in here. Oh, one other thing real quick. You saw there, I have 2 sons. William graduated in the class of 08. He's my favorite right now because he's having a granddaughter. And Wesley graduated in the class of 2011. So we also had 2 foster daughters. One of our foster daughters, Tasha, graduated here in 1999. I'll talk to you a little more about her, I think, later on in the presentation. So, Team 1 had 3 basic challenges that we had to face. How are we going to pay for it? We all know we want our school here. How are we going to pay for it? Sustainable sources of revenue. Well, paying for it's one thing. Making it affordable for you is another thing. And it's a very, very important part of what we're doing. And then also, we, you know, obviously, I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. When I left, we had 1 quality candidate that applied to take our principal's job, and thank God he said yes. And then when Dr. Manning left last spring, you know, I don't think it's a surprise to anybody. It was a challenge. That's how you ended up with me again. So to structure our leadership to create a viable and sustainable school going forward, that's the 3rd part of what our committee was tasked with doing. So, our vision statement, extraordinary Catholic education through Christ for all. If you're going to talk about that, what makes an extraordinary Catholic education? So that's one of the first things that we dug in and tried to find out. We have to have quality faculty and staff. I've said this to our faculty, and I've said it many times. Our faculty needs to be a reflection of Jesus Christ when they stand in front of that classroom with your children. Our faculty have to be good at their job and know what they're doing. They also have to be willing to communicate effectively with you. So that's our role, is to make sure that our school is filled with those people in front of our classrooms. This is an issue, you guys. This is an issue. Our young people who come in start at with about a $4,000 gap between what we pay them and what they could make at Sedalia 200. It's more of an issue on the other end. You know, and I thought so much about this weekend, you know, with Richard getting sick and Mr. Boehner. Mr. Boehner's been here for 43 years. And on the top end of our salary schedule, our people are making $15,000 a year less than they could at Sedalia 200. I'm going to work here for a little bit less because it's a ministry. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Most of my friends are in the public school system here. I don't have the headaches they have because you have great kids. I have a few headaches, but not as many as those folks had. So I'm going to work for a little bit less because it's a ministry, but we have to be just. We have to be just. Okay. Administrator's gap's a little larger. One of the first things we're going to be committed to doing is getting our salary schedule to 90% of that of the public school across the board. That's one of the first elements of being able to offer extraordinary Catholic education. In many cases, being able to continue to offer extraordinary Catholic education and even offer better, more extraordinary Catholic education. So, other elements of an extraordinary Catholic education: abundant opportunities for service to others. Service is a big deal around here, and the kids really enjoy it. We've done a couple of mission trips lately. They're valuable. It's the right thing to do. Abundant opportunities for faith formation. Here I want to throw in a little story about my foster daughter, Tasha. Tasha grew up in the foster care system. She came here as a freshman in high school, and we took her into our home when she was a sophomore in high school. Growing up in the foster care system and with a very unique home life, Tasha had her challenges. Today, though, Tasha is a mother of 6. She homeschools in Russellville, Arkansas. She is on her way to China soon to adopt her second Down syndrome Chinese orphan. She has 4 of her own. And now they're adopting their second little one from China. She contributes much of her strong feelings about doing the things she's doing and living her life, trying to live her life the way she's living it, to what she got at Sacred Heart. To learning about service and to learning about the importance of her faith. So I'm really proud. I'm really proud of Tasha, and she's doing a lot of the right things. Opportunities for personal growth. We live in a technological age. One of the elements of an extraordinary Catholic education is we got to remain competitive technologically, and that's what we're working on. And finally, we got to keep our facilities up. We've got to keep our facilities sound and clean and healthy, and we're going to continue to try to do that to the best of our ability. Okay. So the first issue that was tackled was the new leadership formation. In June of this year, we're going to hire a finance director for the parish and school. That's good, because when the finance portion of the school, which is pretty big, comes off my plate, I now have more time to work directly with Mr. Jones on the school, the day-to-day school and educational challenges that we face. So it's going to allow us greater focus on the student and faculty development. Then eventually, as finances allow and as time allows, as enrollment demands, we'll move to a president and principal model, where the president would be similar to what you would see, what a superintendent would be in a small rural school district. And then as time goes on, the plan is to move to a upper grade principal and a lower grade principal. But those are going to be phased in. What's going to happen immediately is the finance director and to me not have to worry about the finances and be able to spend more time in direct school improvement issues. Okay, so the new tuition structure. I'm pretty sure when push comes to shove, that's kind of why everybody's here tonight, is to hear about the new tuition structure. I'm just going to start out by saying this is fair. This is fair and it's healthy. Two important definitions we have to have. Two important definitions we have to work from. First is, what does it cost to educate your child? This year, it cost us about $7,300 to educate our children, to educate each child, about $7,300. If you think now, let's go on to the second definition. So that's the cost, and the tuition is the amount you pay. Well, if you had a high school student this year, you paid $4,200. Okay, about a $3,100 gap. $3,100 gap. Our challenge is how to fairly and effectively close that gap. And that's what this program's about. And I think it'll work. Okay. If you don't hear anything else, we say tonight, there are 5 things that I really need you to take away from this. 5 things. Number 1, nobody here will be asked to pay more than they did this year if you truly cannot afford to do it. Nobody here, no family will be asked to pay more than you are right now if you truly can't afford that. That's number 1. Number 2, this first year is a voluntary transition year. Our tuition rates were published in February. We kind of had to do that because of just the way our financial year worked. Well, we're so enthusiastic about this growth plan, we decided that this rollout for the new tuition model couldn't wait a whole nother year. So, we're going to give you a choice. After we explain it to you, after you understand it, you're going to have a choice. You can choose the current tuition model that you're currently working under, or after you hear about the cost-based, needs-based model, you can choose that model. So, for a year, nothing has to change. That should take some of the anxiety away. You have a year to digest what we're going to do. We have a year to accumulate the data and to make plans moving forward. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, over $500,000, over $500,000 will be available annually for financial assistance. Here's the deal. Don't be nervous about asking for financial assistance. You know, when we show you the true cost tuition, what our research tells us in schools like ours, less than 20% of the families pay the true cost tuition. 80% of the families ask for assistance. So please, we want you to. We expect you to. The model is set up so that you do. You guys, when your kids go to college, you're going to ask for help. Almost guarantee it. So don't hesitate. Don't be hesitant to ask for help now. Because the help's there. The help's there. Number 4, this is kind of one that has confused people. Nobody's going to be asked to subsidize anybody else's kid. Nobody's going to be asked to pay the cost of tuition for anyone more than your child. Okay? Nobody's going to be paying for anybody else's child. And I think that's kind of an important thing to remember. And finally, number 5, you're going to see improvements. I think we have a great school. Obviously, I wouldn't have devoted my whole life to the place. I'm a little partial. But I think we have a great school. I certainly wouldn't have come back if I didn't think we have a great school. We have a great school. We're going to be better. This process is going to allow us to be even better. And that couldn't be more exciting, really. And we're going to talk to you a little bit more about that in specifics as this goes on. Okay. Our current tuition model is kind of a one-size-fits-all. It's one tuition, no matter what the situation or circumstances of your family are. Obviously, as I mentioned a minute ago, the current tuition doesn't cover our costs to educate children. In this model, in our current model, everybody is receiving financial aid, whether they need it or not. There are some folks that God has blessed financially. They've never asked for aid. They don't want aid. We'll give it to them anyway. We've got to find a better way to do that. Okay? And that's kind of what this is about. So, our current model, based on what I just mentioned, it's not particularly fair. And while because we have a great community, we've busted our tail to sustain ourselves from year to year to year, we don't think it's sustainable going forward into the future. I will have to say, the whole 21 years that I was principal, we lived paycheck to paycheck. You know, it was there was never any extra. okay? So it was really hard to plan going forward and to grow. We were able to do some cool stuff, but it was very difficult. The new model, we think, will change that. So that's our current model. Here's our new model. It's called cost-based, needs-based tuition. The best thing about it, this model of tuition is going to be tailored to meet your family's needs. It's going to be tailored to your family. Okay? So it's going to be difficult for me going forward when a new family comes in and says, what's the tuition? I don't know for sure. I'll have to come up with a better answer than that. But the tuition is probably going to be a little bit different for everybody. Okay? So it's tailored to meet your needs. The top possible rate, which we're going to show you in just a second what we project the top possible rate for next year to be. The top possible rate for tuition will cover the cost of educating your child. Okay? And it is fair because it's tailored to meet your family's needs and it's tailored to meet your family's situation, and it is sustainable. It is fair and it is sustainable. Not only can we continue to exist under this model, but if it works the way we think it's going to, we're going to be able to do better things, and cooler things, more exciting things. And we're going to be able to recruit and retain the best faculty possible. And to be able to continue to do that is one of the most important things. All right, timeline for adoption. Today's the first day. We're talking to everybody here on April 22nd. So we're introducing the concept now with voluntary participation. What we do ask is that at the conclusion of this meeting, if you don't think that your family will be able to pay the true cost of tuition, we're asking that you fill out a FAFSA aid application. Even if you're going to go with the current model, we would like you to fill out the application if you would, because it will give us the data we need to plan for the upcoming years and to kind of know what we're going to be able to expect from our different families. Plus, it gives you the data you need to know what tuition is going to look like going forward for you, potentially. So we ask that you fill out the FAFSA aid application. We would like, if you're not able to pay the true cost, the full cost of tuition, we would like you to have your FAFSA aid application completed by May 23rd. By May 23rd. And they're not real hard. It's not real hard to get it completed. In fact, Mrs. Talamentes walked me through it the other day. And when you're doing things online these days, that's not my strong suit. So Mrs. Talamentes got me through it. So I'm sure that you guys will be able to navigate it really, really pretty easily. And then we'll go to full, and then by June 15th, by no later than June 15th, we will have contacted you and let you know what your award amount will be, or would potentially be. And then June 20th, we'll have our first pre-registration night for next fall. So that's kind of the timeline going forward. Then for the fall 2019-2020, we'll have full implementation. We'll be going to the true cost-based, needs-based tuition fully a year from now. Okay, here's what we stand to gain. Quality faculty, I've mentioned that. We have to have the best in front of the rooms. So as people retire or as people move on for any reason, we've got to be able to recruit and recruit the best people. Right now, we've got a great group, but it's difficult to recruit because of where our pay scale is. We've got to do, and even the people that we have, we've got to be more just. We've got to pay them a little better. They deserve that. Okay? So quality faculty. We're going to do some things with comfortable, clean, modern spaces that support optimal learning and engagement, including science labs, ITV lab, computer labs, even more than that. First thing we have to do is we have to do a little better job of getting heat into the elementary classrooms. That's probably job one. We got to do a little bit better job of getting our elementary and junior high restrooms renovated and up to snuff. Okay, so those are also things that are going to happen, and those are going to happen on a much shorter timeline. That's what this will allow us to do. Okay, so there are other things that we as a community are going to stand to gain. What we're really going to stand to gain is, if this works the way we think it's going to, my granddaughter's going to get to go to Sacred Heart High School. And your grandkids are going to get to go to Sacred Heart High School if you want them to. And maybe your kids' grandkids will get to go to Sacred Heart High School if you want them to. I'm kind of a fan of Sedalia 200. I like those people. I think they do fine. Every community like ours deserves an alternative and deserves an option. That's what we provide. More important than that, every community like ours needs a faith-based option. And the faith-based option is truly what we bring to the table. We're good at it and we're getting better. Okay. Even more, as we talk about a faith-based option, we want community and world leaders that know that they're a child of God. You heard the kids on the video earlier. We want young people that know that they can lean on their faith in times of trouble, and know that they can be grateful in all things. We want our young people to know how to discern and listen to God's call to purpose. I've had some great discussions with my youngest son lately. He's an engineer, and he likes his job, but he's got in the back of his head that he thinks maybe he would like to teach and coach. Well, he would have to take a significant pay cut to teach and coach. But what he and I talk about is what's more important. How much do you enjoy getting up what you do and going to do what you do every day? And you got to leave the world better than you found it. And that's what we tell the kids here. You have a responsibility. All of us do. We got to leave the world better than we found it. And that's what we talk about in our religion classes. Knowing how to discern and listen to God's call to purpose, and knowing that our faith is a lifetime relationship with Jesus. Okay. That's what we are. Again, no family's going to be asked to pay more than they do now if they truly can't afford to do that. No family's going to be asked to pay more. Here's the numbers. We project it next year, and we've broken it out to secondary grades and elementary grades because there is a difference in the cost. The true cost to educate a secondary student next year is $7,865. Okay? Whatever you do, please don't walk out of here tonight and say, the tuition next year is $7,800 and I can't pay that. Because the tuition is not $7,800 for the vast majority of us in this room. It's going to be tailored to meet your needs. Okay, and the tuition, the full cost for elementary is the $6,300 number you saw, $6,391. If you know that you have the ability to pay that, and some of us do, God bless you, that's going to help us reach our goals all that much sooner. So please do. But if you know that that number is not realistic for you, complete the application and let us work with you. We want every single family. We want every single one of you to have your children in Sacred Heart next year, and we're going to work with you to make that happen. Okay. We have several ways that you can offset your tuition. One of those is script participation. Many of you use script now. We have at least one family that's going to offset their tuition by over $1,700 this year using script. And most of you know that with script, you don't buy anything that you're not already going to buy anyway. A little convenience is the only thing. Otherwise, there's no additional monetary outlay to use script. We have a table over here where you can get more information about script after the meeting. The state of Missouri has instituted a 529 most plan. We've had a 529 most plan for many years, but you're only able to use it for post-secondary education. Now, you can use it for private education from kindergarten on. So there are savings plans that have some significant tax breaks that give you help in paying the tuition. We're going to hear from a lady from Most in just a few minutes, and then you'll also be able to speak with her and one of our local bankers, Eric Krause, after the meeting if you'd like to hear more about the Most plan. You could host an international student. We have a $1,000 tuition incentive for anyone who hosts an international student. So that's something that you might want to give consideration to. Come to the meeting on May 6th. You're going to hear from people who have hosted, and you're going to hear from some of the kids themselves. So you'll get a feel for what it would be like maybe to have a young person in your home. And then representatives from all of those entities are here tonight. I'm going a little long, and I apologize, but this is so important. And I really want you to feel comfortable about it before you leave. 5 key takeaways. You're not going to pay more than you are now if you can't truly afford it. It's a voluntary year. It's a voluntary year. Let's give it a shot. It's certainly worth a shot because the high end, the ceiling is really high. There's going to be financial aid available. It's going to be there. And when we have our individual meetings, I'll be able to explain that to you a lot more. You're only going to pay for your child. You're not subsidizing anybody else's child. And I mean, there are significant, specific improvements in the pipeline that you will see very quickly. Okay. Today, at the end of our meeting, we're asking each of you to step across to the other side of the gym. We have a packet of information for every family. And we ask you to read it, pray about it, think about what it means for you, and then in the packet, there will be a place where you can sign up to set up an individual meeting for you and your family, where you can meet with myself or one of our other folks on Team 1 that have helped develop this program. But we're going to make however much time we need necessary to meet with every single family and make sure that you are comfortable with this process and what it means for you. Okay, so please stop by and get your packet. These meetings can take place over the next month, and then we'll have our awards notifications come out no later than the 15th. Registration nights this summer, and then full implementation. We'll be talking about full implementation this time next year. Okay. So, just very briefly, we have a representative from FACTS here tonight. We're actually going to use FACTS in 2 separate ways next year. One is that they're going to be our tuition management company, and that really provides us a much more effective and efficient business model. And they're also going to be helping us sort through the financial aid piece. So this is Chris Gahan from FACTS Tuition Management, and he's going to just very briefly fill you in on what FACTS can do for us. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Dr. Register. First of all, I got to tell you, I'm really impressed. I get to go to meetings like this occasionally, and rarely is the turnout as good as this one is. So it shows some commitment on your part, and I'm very impressed to see that. Who I am, I'm a dad of 6 kids who've all gotten a faith-based education. I've been a FACTS customer longer than I've been a FACTS employee, because the school my wife and I chose to send our kids to charge tuition, and they had FACTS in place before we got there. So I got real familiar with FACTS. I paid a lot of tuition through FACTS. So I have no problem answering your questions, both from a family perspective and as a FACTS employee. As I got into your school today, I looked in the hallway out there, and now as I look up on the walls, there's some reminders of some real excellence, some state championships. And it takes discipline, it takes training, it takes coaching, it takes best practices to get to that point. And I'm here to tell you that your school finances are no different than your academic successes or your athletic successes. And that's where we come into play. We're a company that exists to help schools look at best practices and be more financially sustainable. Just a show of hands, I'd like to ask, how many of you in the room right now on a monthly basis has something that's drafted out of your account, whether it's house payment, car payment, utilities, insurance? How many of you right now has something drafted out of your account? A lot of you do. And that's really the basics of what we do, is we process tuition for schools automatically. And I can tell you more details about that, but we're a technology company. We've been in business for over 34 years. We work with over 7,000 schools across the country, a lot of schools in Missouri, a lot of Catholic schools. Over 2 million families have fax payment plans. We are not a collection agency, and we don't report to credit bureaus. There are two things, as Dr. Register mentioned, two things that we do. One of them is the tuition processing. The other is financial aid assessment. On the tuition side of it, when I got into business 13 years ago, really it was common to have it said that cash flow was the reason that schools brought us in. But I would tell you it's as much about convenience, about access, about technology for families right now. So and the safety and security of the payments processing. On the financial aid side of it, if any of you did this when you were in college or have done it for your own college students, the FAFSA program, do you know what the FAFSA is? That's what we do for the K-12 schools. We have a form that families fill out online. We'll ask about income, we'll ask about expenses, we'll have your tuition table already loaded, and we're going to come up with a number, an assessment of your need to afford the education here. So it's all a part of being fair, being equitable, and doing the financial aid on a needs basis rather than a subsidy basis. So that, I wanted to keep it brief, but that's kind of an overview of what we do. I'm going to be here as long as anybody has questions about either the tuition processing or the financial aid assessment. I welcome the opportunity to visit with you, and I thank you for inviting me here tonight.
Thank you, Chris. I encourage you to stop by and talk to Chris. He's really a wealth of knowledge on the fact stuff. Also, this Most 529 stuff has tremendous potential benefits, and we have Janet Kopman here tonight to give us just kind of a brief update on what Most 529 can offer to us as well. Jen?
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me here tonight. I'm going to be quick, but I will tell you that if they'd like to have me come back, I know I talked to Ms. Rawlings about doing a full presentation to give you all the detail about how all this works. But the MOST program is the state of Missouri's 529 plan. It is something that you can set up yourself online. So we do have brochures over at the table that you can set up. What's important, there's some key things that I want to point out. With Missouri's plan, you can start with as little as $1. So it's very affordable for you to start saving. You also get a state tax benefit for contributions into a 529 plan. So anything that you would put in there up to $8,000 per taxpayer per year comes off your adjusted gross income when you file your Missouri taxes. So it's going to give you that tax benefit going in. Now for you all, the K through 12 was just adopted January 1. Missouri was one of the first ones in the country to go ahead and approve all this. So it's been something that the federal government put into the last tax reform, and they wanted it to be something that all states provided this. But the states have to go back and review their legislation to make sure that it's been adopted. Missouri was ready to go. So for Missouri, you can start putting money in there and you can start using it to pay for your K through 12. The way the limits work for K through 12 expenses is that you can withdraw out of your 529 plan up to $10,000 a year per student. Okay? And that's to pay for tuition, and it's tuition only, so you can't use it for any other expenses. I kind of want to reiterate again, the important things to remember are your state tax benefit or by taxpayers, so it's $8,000 per taxpayer, so up to $16,000. But your withdrawals for K through 12 are $10,000 per student. Okay? That's been confusing for a lot of the schools, and we just want to make sure that everybody understands that. But it is very easy to use. It is an investment, So when you guys are looking at this for a shorter term, we do have some short-term investments for you to choose from. We also have age-based options, which are really more geared towards saving for college. And with all your students going to, the private schools, we feel that a lot of the families doing that, you're already paying for tuition, so education is important to you all. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to start saving for the higher education aspect of it as well. So please feel free to stop by the table and visit with me. I've got information for you to take with you. We have not updated our brochures yet with the K-12 because it is new, so I do have a sheet over there that talks about that legislation. And then we also, you can see my little treasure box over there, we provide a drawing for $529. We do that quarterly, so it's not just for tonight, but we will give that away at the end of June. So if anybody would like to do that, you can fill that out, and then we will be giving that away at the end of the quarter. So please feel free to stop by. I was going to say, I know that when I've done the presentation, there's a lot of questions, but you guys have a program here to do, so certainly feel free to stop by and visit with me. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jan. Hey, Jan, I have just one real quick question. Now, obviously, you can set up a MOS 529 plan for your child. Can Grandma and Grandpa set up a MOS 529 plan separately for the same child?
Yes. So you can have multiple accounts for the same beneficiary who is the person that you're saving for. So as an example, I say if you have parents, you've got 2 parents and 2 grandparents on each side, you could ultimately have 6 accounts for 1 kid. But that withdrawal for the $10,000 for your K-12 is per student, so it doesn't matter how many accounts. You can't do 10,000 for each account. It's just that per student per year. So that is a great way for grandparents to help them when you have a new one coming. You can start doing that for that.
You guys can probably tell I'm fired up about that grandbaby, can't you? I'll really be overbearing when she gets here. So, okay, we've gone long tonight, and that's my fault. I got long-winded, and I got passionate, and I got long-winded, but this is so important, and the potential is so much, it's so good. I hope that everybody can get on board and really will be willing to go forward with it. So, tonight, please pick up your information and read it carefully. Schedule a meeting to come and see us. Many of the questions that you have will be answered for you in your packet, but also you can stop by and see us individually after the meeting, or you'll have them ready for your individual meeting when you come in. Visit our other tables, please. I can't emphasize enough how much I've prayed about this meeting. There's been a little anxiety, and I've prayed a lot about it, and we'll continue to pray going forward, knowing and believing that this is the right thing for our school. So I can't tell you how much we appreciate you, and how grateful we are that you're here, and how grateful you are that you trust us with your most prized possession, your beautiful, wonderful children, and thank you for that. So let's close with prayer, please. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. God our Father, you have a plan for each one of us. You hold out to us a future full of hope. Give us the wisdom of your Spirit so we can see the shape of your plan in the gifts you have given us and in the circumstances of our daily lives. Give us the freedom of your Spirit to seek you with all our hearts and to choose your will above all else. We make this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you so much.
To me, sending my kids to Sacred Heart is an investment because I want to give nothing but the best to my children. My kids are 4th generation kids to go here. We drive 30 miles one way to get to school here, so it really is a sacrifice to us, but the expense to send our kids to Sacred Heart to us is kind of a no-brainer, just because we are Catholic and we believe, in a Christian education.
We want to implement changes and implement improvements to the way we function so that our school is viable.
I feel that in the future, once these changes are made, I think it's only going to make our school go up. We could probably get better technology, you know, withhold those really good teachers, attract new teachers, gain new families, you know. I mean, to me, the possibilities are endless when we have more revenue.
5 years from now, I think we are all going to be very, very pleased that we accepted these challenges, accepted a few risks, and did the things that were necessary to take our school to the next level, not only improve what we're doing today, but to make quality Catholic Christian education available in Sedalia for my children, my children's children, and as far as I'm concerned, their children.
And I'm so grateful and blessed that I get to come to Sacred Heart and receive a Catholic education and talk about my faith in class and pray with the other classmates.
Can speak openly, definitely, about God, Jesus, and ask questions as well to different teachers and peers, and it just, you connect more.
It just teaches you not to bully anybody, and you don't have to worry about that.
I've been here since kindergarten. I consider myself pretty involved to do, and I love that Sacred Heart offers all those things, you know, like academic challenge or a variety of extracurricular activities, you know, sports and speech team, math team.
I know I'll be going to college because I know I work hard and I try to be the best person I can be, not just like academically, but like as a person.
I will never be too busy to take the time to sit down with each family individually and work through whatever questions or concerns they might have.
Being involved and hearing what they had to say before jumping to conclusions or flooding them with questions, I have absolutely zero questions because I've listened, I have asked questions, I have sat down with administrators, and so I'm comfortable and very excited about the future of Sacred Heart.
Sacred Heart is the finest expression of love. It's not just people here to get an education. I'm here because I'm a Catholic. I'm here because I love what I do. I'm here because I love to learn. I'm here because I love God.
Sacred Heart is school, a church, a community, a family. It is all of those things.
I love Sacred Heart.
We love Sacred Heart.